guys, HMK here once again, and it's time for the Switch. Nintendo Switch review from HMK. First and foremost, I gotta thank my good friends at Nintendo for providing a review unit of the Nintendo Switch along with Breath of the Wild. Now, first and foremost, is this the future of gaming? Is this Nintendo's best console? Is this where it's at? Well, for the most part, it is. However, I will not say that this is the best console I've ever played, or is this the console of the future? It really depends on how Nintendo handles it, because the biggest draw for the Nintendo Switch is that this console, more than any other console I've played or seen or, handled, this console has an insane amount of potential. Like, a huge amount of potential, more potential than any other system I've seen. But it really depends on how Nintendo handles that potential in the future to see where the Switch will go. But from what I played, I've had a blast handling this thing. It's so versatile. You can play it on the go. You can play it at home. You can do almost anywhere and anytime type of play with it. And it's so funny because I could end up just playing Breath of the Wild during this review, very freeform if I wanted to. And have I played this game out in the open? Well, yeah, but I had to be very careful with the Switch because, not only is this thing being sold out everywhere you go, so, like, oh my god, people seeing me have a Switch out in the open, that's gonna draw unnecessary attention. However, I put together a little something to, show what it's like to go out and play with the Switch. Oh, you're back. Oh, sorry. So, back to the Nintendo Switch. Yes, this is the console. This is it. This is it. And the fact that you can compare this with PlayStation 4 and Xbox One is a little insane. Because from what I play with Breath of the Wild, the load times are very minimal and very in between. The fact that you can load up your game card into the Switch, it just snaps like that. That's it. You put the game card in, it recognizes what the game card is. And since it has the advantage of cartridges over discs, hardly any load times. With the Switch, you can play in mobile mode, tabletop mode, or you can play on your screen. I've tried all three, and they all feel great. This really feels good in your hand. Of course, it's a little big to put in your pocket. You can't really put it in your pocket. You're going to have to put it in a backpack or anything like that, or a Nintendo Switch carrying case, whatever you want. And in any mode, it supports any type of controller or play. I can even use my Joy-Con grip when it's like this. It doesn't matter. And then taking off the Joy-Cons and reattaching them is honestly a piece of cake. That's it. Joy-Cons off. And let's take it over to the grip. Just click it in. That's one. And that's two. And there you have it. The Joy-Con grip. And this doesn't feel bad. A lot of people are like, oh, is it too small? Well, I have really long fingers. So this is how it feels. And it feels great. It feels way better than the Wii U controller. I can tell you right that this thing blows the Wii U out of the water. And though Nintendo Switch uses mostly a matte finish when it comes to the controllers and the console itself, I do notice that when I handle it, I do tend to sweat a little bit about it, and then, the sweat stays on it. And the best way to get rid of that is using a glasses cleaner, which I have one from the Nintendo Switch event, which you can use to, take it off, and it's no big deal. Out of the box at first, when you get the Nintendo Switch, it's gonna feel a little weird taking off and putting on the Joy-Cons, and you might be a little scared to do it. But after doing it a couple of times, it eases up, and then you get used to doing it. Now, the controls themselves and the Switch are very responsive. It's insane, and a lot of people have been asking me, how is the Switch when you look on the screen? Now, I can't really show you or compare it or anything like that because, of course, I can capture footage from the Switch on the TV, and then you'll see it. But when you see the Switch on handheld mode on this screen, I gotta say it's pretty insane. It's very weird to look at because it's so clear, it's so nice. Even though it renders in 720p in the palm of your hand, it just looks too good. Like, if it was not really there. And the way I mean by that is, like, ever seen a movie where they have those like technology pieces and you see something rendered on screen, but that's not really there because they render it in post-editing or anything like that, and that's how it looks super good? It's like that, but in real life. I mean, I could show you this right now. This is how the Switch looks. Yeah. It looks really nice. Now, what's the battery life? Now, since I only have Breath of the Wild, battery life has been stated to be around 2.5 to 3 hours, which is true. When I took it on the go and I played out in the open, made sure I tried to take the battery over to the brink, it lasted around 3 hours. That's cool because you can plug in USB Type-C power banks in order to charge it while you're on the go, or you can use the AC adapter that Nintendo provides that goes into the Switch dock. You can plug it directly into the Switch itself. Now, when it comes to things like eShop and online or anything like that, I can't really tell you because, of course, I got the system early and I'm unable to update to get online features at this time. So that's something to leave out, and that's something I will touch upon in the future. Now, of course, you can take one Joy-Con and use it as a player 2 as controller, where they do have their own type of shoulder buttons right here, the stick and the buttons. And, you know, a lot of people will complain about this, but it surprisingly feels nice. I used this to play Sonic Mania and Fast Racing RMX and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe when I was at the Switch event, and it felt pretty good. Now, I know there's a lot of people talking about the desyncing of the Joy-Con controllers. Personally, I have not experienced any type of desyncing with any type of Joy-Con, with left or right, none of them. However, one gripe I do have with the controllers is that it doesn't have a power on switch, a power on button, and that's very apparent, and I thought there was going to be some sort of code once you get the controller in your hand, like, oh, if you press A, B, or plus, minus at the same time, it'll just activate the switch, power it on from anywhere you are. But that's not the case, as it'll try to sync up with the Switch. It's like, hey guys, you know, I'm trying to sync up with the Switch, but the Switch is not on. You're gonna have to get up and turn it on yourself. I mean, like, it seems a bit trivial, but after being so used to all the controllers in my hand having a power on button where I can just pick up the controller, turn on my system, and go, it's a bit, like, for me, it's a bit detrimental to go up to the system and turn it on in any type of mode, TV, handheld, or tabletop. Now, here's the thing I have to talk about a little bit, which is handling the system as a home console and handling the system as a handheld console. As a handheld console, it blows every other handheld console out of the water. That is so apparent. This thing is a fucking monster when you take it handheld. The only problem that it has is the battery life, but it fluctuates depending on the game you're playing. But despite that, everything visually and everything you get on the TV mode, everything you have is on handheld, which is insane. As I'm going in a car ride and playing Breath of the Wild, I'm like, I'm playing the biggest Zelda game ever created in the car. Jesus. So as a handheld console, Nintendo Switch takes the cake. It's the best handheld console ever created. And it's so exciting. But as a person that prefers home console, I play a lot of it on my TV screen. And when thinking about that, you get everything you get from the handheld experience on the big screen, which is, you know, kind of a limbo or a Ouroboros type thing, because it's a TV console you take on the go. It's a handheld you can play on your TV. Which one is it? Well, in its purest form, from what I've played, from my experience, it is a console game that you could take on the go that has handheld capabilities. And when playing on the TV mode, everything is great. It snaps between handheld and TV like that. And when playing on the TV, everything is great. It takes a couple of seconds for it to switch between TV and handheld, but that's not detrimental at all. You put the Switch down the dock, 2 seconds afterwards, bam, it's on your TV, or even less. The dock itself runs HDMI and an AC power adapter. Nothing too special there, everything run of the mill, honestly, at this point in time. But it does have 3 USB ports, and one of them being USB 3 when it goes live from a firmware update later on. Nintendo is always trying to shape up gaming differently with their consoles and with their games, and this is apparent with the Nintendo Switch. From what I played with Breath of the Wild and the New York event, and from what's coming, I'm very excited for the future of Nintendo Switch. As a console, so far I have no huge complaints whatsoever. Everything feels connected, everything feels smooth in any type of way you play it. The only issue I have right now is the battery life depending on the game you play. And of course, the unforeseeable issues we might have in the future dealing with online that I cannot tell you about right now. At this point in time, for a $300 price point with the Switch, you get a lot of things. People are really unsure about paying that much money for a system like this. While you get a Joy-Con controller which can act as 2 controllers themselves, so you have 2-player play out of the box. You have the system itself, which is very small and very lightweight, very powerful as well, that can be played in 3 different ways: tabletop, handheld, or TV mode. and you get one of the biggest games ever at launch right away, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So from what I've played and from what everything I've experienced with the Nintendo Switch, I say it's pretty worth it. It is indeed. But the only issues right now that I have is, of course, the battery life and the unknown in the future. That being said, I like to give Nintendo Switch, Nintendo's latest and greatest console, a 9 out of 10. It's small, sleek, sexy, can be played in multiple ways, has great games coming out this year, and it has a lot of potential. I'm really excited to see what Nintendo does with the Nintendo Switch. It ain't anything like the Wii U, it doesn't feel cumbersome at all. So if you guys get the chance, be sure to pick one up. I recommend it wholeheartedly. So guys, if you enjoyed this review for the Nintendo Switch, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of the console and if you're really excited for it. So, without further ado, I'll check you guys on the next HMK video. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna play some more Nintendo Switch.